What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and we have got the winter banner for this year, and we have got Ivy and Camilla as the harmonic unit. Ivy was pretty much expected because of her Tensia last year, and she is a red mage flyer this time. She is certainly really powerful, and because Camilla is a backpack unit, she borrows some of the effects of young Camilla basically. So here she has got cozy candles as her preferred weapon, and this has got slaying built in it, and it also has the null hexblade effect, so she is going to be stopping any kind of adaptive damage of the dragons. This banner has a theme of having this null hexblade effect, so it's definitely a bit weird. So she is going to be giving the support to herself and the allies in 3 rows and 3 columns centered on her, and for herself she's able to get plus 15 to all of her stats, and for the allies she gives out plus 5 to all of their stats. And the next supportive effect is what makes her as an amazing unit, because she has got every attack pre-impulse in this weapon as a support. So this means that she can hit incredibly hard, and giving pre-impulse on every single attack, including the brave attacks and the follow-up attacks, is just so unique. It's much better than a lot of the pre-impulse support that we have got, and it is also in 3 rows and 3 columns, so it is quite flexible, and offensively this is going to be a very solid thing that she brings to the table. And she also gives out 7 HP healing after the combat, so the every attack pre-impulse is going to be helping a lot of the units that have the Erica ring, who have the potent follow-up attacks, and they can trigger their specials a lot easily and just hit much harder. She also gets the 25 true damage, which is conditionless, and also 15 flat damage reduction, so she is going to be having some flat damage reduction to survive. She does have Miracle in her preferred skill, so having this kind of flat damage reduction does help. She also has Null Guard, so it's going to be making it easier for her to trigger her Ice Wall along with the every attack pre-impulse. And she also has the 50% damage reduction piercing on every single hit. So overall this weapon is really good for the every attack pre-impulse, and she is also a really strong unit because of her slotty skill Tunnel Vision. So this gives her plus 9 to all of her stats, which are going to be the visible stats, and she gets pass if there is any kind of support partner present on the map. So this version of Ivy really depends on the support partner. With attuned Ivy, it didn't really matter much because a lot of the times people didn't really run any kind of support partner, and she would just get the +1 movement. But to get the pass out of attuned Ivy, you really need to have a support partner on the map, which means that it is not going to be working in the hands of the AI. And she also gets the 2-space warp to the support partner in 3 spaces. So this makes her have a really big range, but it is going to be dependent on the fact that she needs to have a support partner that can be on the front lines. So someone like Chosen Alphonse or Harmonic Ike with Brave Roy would work out, because if that support partner dies, then she's not going to be able to warp. And this is the part where she kind of emulates young Camilla and her insane range, but it is restricted with the fact that she needs to have a support partner in 3 spaces, and that way she can warp and also have pass. So she's not going to be getting stopped by any kind of warp blocking, which is what makes young Camilla really powerful, which she borrows. And she is going to be getting +1 movement if you do not have any kind of support partner on the map. So if you do not use any kind of support partner, or if they die on something like a Summoner Duels map, then she's going to be able to get the +1 movement, which is not as insane as the warping that she gets, but it is at least something for extending her range. But that is also going to be making her susceptible to any kind of stalled status. And it's sort of both player phase and enemy phase. To herself and the allies in 2 spaces, she gives out the potent follow-up status and also the Anathema status. So Anathema brings even more stat debuffs, and this can certainly help the support partner that is going to be near her, so they can take advantage of these debuffs. But this doesn't really give you the attack debuff, so For the frontliner, it is not going to be as useful, but still it is another status effect that can give you extra stats, or rather at least the debuff on the enemy. And potent follow-up attack is going to be an incredibly good support that you can give out to the other units. A lot of the top tier units already have the potent follow-up attack, so this is not going to be stacking for them. But with this, a lot of the older units can get the potent follow-up attack and improve their offenses. And potent follow-up attack is really good when she's giving out the every attack pre-impulse with her weapon. And this also helps Ivy a lot, seeing as how Attuned Ivy also had the potent follow-up attack hit. And the true damage that Winter Ivy gets is pretty unique. So the true damage that Winter Ivy gets is dependent on the number of attacks that she has hit in the current combat times 5. So on her first attack, she's just going to be getting 5 true damage, then 10, then 15, then 20, and then 25 on the 5th attack. So it is going to be increasing like that, and this is going to be making her hit really hard, especially on the last hit, which is going to be the potent follow-up attack hit. And she does have the dual phase brave effect, which is going to be activated by a resistance check, or if you have a support partner on the map, then you can just have the S rank plus support with them, and she's going to be always having the dual phase brave effect. If you do not have the S plus rank support on them, then she does need the support partner to be in 2 spaces of her. So this is their way of incentivizing the entwined heroes if you always want to have the brave effect on your Winter Ivy, regardless of range, and you wouldn't have to bother with the resistance check. She also has Miracle built into the slotty skill so that she can try and survive and then hit the enemies with the extra attacks that she has got. So that can basically make it so that she does not die to the counter attack of the enemies. But still, a lot of the Erika rank Far Saviors can try and kill her with their brave attack. So that's something that she'll need to watch out for, because she doesn't have an insane amount of flat damage reduction. She does have 15 flat damage reduction, and then she's got Ice Wall, but it's not the hardest thing to kill her through that. So Tunnel Vision is going to be making her a really solid nuke because of having the pass and the warping built in it, which can extend her range. And the potent follow-up attack support is really fantastic, along with her weapon that has got the every attack pre-impulse. She also has speed res havoc so that she can get the Canto effect out of it. She does not have any kind of Canto without it, but you can also run Conjuring Breath and maybe run Sigurd Ring if you want to give her the Canto. She does get the visible resistance out of her slotted skill, so that can help her with triggering the Havoc skill, and also the Speed Resistance Crux Ploy, which is a new line of skill that is going to be giving her the guaranteed follow-up attack, and also she can debuff the enemies with deploy and exposure status. And this is flat out better than any kind of Crux skill, so high resistance flyers can make use of this. She also has a harmonic skill, which is really powerful, and it pretty much tries to counter the Corrin ring. So she can have the Divine Vein haste terrain on the closest foes and the foes in 2 spaces of them. So she's able to basically override the terrain with that. She's not going to be able to warp into the haste terrain like young Camilla, but still she can get rid of the ice tiles of the enemy team and then make it easier for her allies. And this also helps her in the combat itself. So this is going to be incredibly useful in summoner duels and also in ether raids if you just get rid of their duo hindrance structure or their duo or harmonic unit. And this harmonic skill is pretty flexible even if you do not have the allies from those game titles, because she's still going to be able to just have the haste terrain out of this. So Winter Ivy is an extremely strong ranged nuke, and the every attack pre-impulse that she has got is going to be aging to be really good. But as I said before, the Erika rank Far Saviors are going to be something that can stop her. And the fact that she has got pass built into her slotted skill, as long as you combine her with a really solid frontliner, she's going to be able to have an insane amount of range. And she also hits really hard and hits many times. And if you can give her the reflex status, then she can also make the full use out of her miracle with her slotty and hit even harder. And then we have got Winter Gatekeeper as a colorless mage armor. So he does have his preferred weapon, which has got -1 special cooldown, and he also has a joint drive effect. So he can give himself and the allies in 3 rows and 3 columns the following effect. He can get the +16 attack, defense, and resistance for himself, and the allies get +5 to that. And he also has the null debuff, so you don't really have to worry about any kind of debuffs annoying your tanks. And he also gives out the set hit support with the flat damage reduction, which for him is going to be 15, and for the allies it is going to be 7. And he also has the counter roar 5 essentially built into this weapon. Now this is not like the actual reflex effect or the best damage reflection, but it is limited in scope, kind of similar to a counter roar skill. So it is going to be 40% of the foe's first attack damage as the reflected damage. So it is not going to be as useful as full damage reflection. And he also has the 7 HP healing after the combat. He also has the extra layer of flat damage reduction against these specials, which is 15 flat damage reduction. He doesn't really give that to his allies though. And then depending on the allies in the 3 row and 3 column range, or if he is in 2 spaces of any kind of breakable structure, then he gets -3 cooldown foe's first attack pre-impulse. So basically before the foe's first attack, you're going to be able to get the pulse effect similar to Lagu's friend, and that can help you pre-charge your ice wall. And he is mainly going to be depending on that ice wall for the damage because he doesn't really have any kind of brave effect, which I think he really needed. That's also a thing that regular Gatekeeper also wanted. And his preferred skill, Festive Report, does have the bulwark effect built in it and the 4-space warp blocking, which was really unique when Gatekeeper first came out, but nowadays we have got tons of warp blocking. Not to mention we also have Koran Ring that he can run, so it's not the most insane, but what is insane is that he can inflict the Share Spoils plus status on the closest foes and the foes in 2 spaces of them. So this can let your other units get the extraction against the enemy. And it's interesting that he has got this effect as a save unit who's usually not going to be initiating attack, but I guess it's there to make it easier for your team to clean up. And then he also inflicts -5 attack and resistance debuff on the foe in the combat. He also has follow-up denial and the guard effect, and he has got additional flat damage reduction that is going to be scaling 20% of his resistance. And then he has got Ronin's Snowstorm, which is going to be boosting his special damage based on 150% of his resistance on these special triggers. So that is going to be giving him much needed extra damage output. But like I said, I really wish that he had got some kind of brave attack, because he cannot really take advantage of the Erica ring as he is a mage and not a melee unit, and having the Erica ring would have made it a lot better for him, especially when you consider the fact that he's trying to be a far savior. So against a lot of the miracle effects, that Erica ring can be so helpful for a lot of the far saviors, which is not something that Gatekeeper is going to be having. And then he also has defense resistance twin far save for the survival, and survival is something that he needs because he has got his preferred skill in slot B, which I really wish he didn't. If it was slot A, it would have been much better, or even slot C, because he would have been able to run one of the armor skills and get another layer of flat damage reduction, because without that, he's not going to be supremely bulky and he is going to be kind of susceptible to dying. As you saw in the trailer, he did take quite a bit of damage from Heimdall. So against someone like Duo Freya, it is going to be kind of hard for him, honestly, to survive. And he's also not the fastest unit, so getting that follow-up attack is also going to be hard for him. And he also doesn't have a brave attack, so I feel like they could have given him that, or at least some extra effects, or just made his preferred skill into his slot A. That would have helped him quite a lot. So he is a good unit, but I wouldn't really say that he is too insane. He needed a lot more things, and I feel like they kind of undercooked him. I wish he was just an infantry unit because his support is pretty good. And if he was an infantry unit, he would just have better movement because he wouldn't be forced into this role of being a far savior, which is kind of hard to do for a lot of the range armors. And that's why we didn't really get too many range armors. The third unit on this banner is going to be Winter Alfred, and he is a lance armor with snow fit lance. So it does have -1 special cooldown, and it also has the joint drive 3 rows and 3 column effect. So he gives out the Omni plus 15 to himself and plus 5 to the allies. He also gives out the Dalol effect compared to the null debuffs of Winter Gatekeeper, and he also gives you the 7 HP healing per attack in the combat. So this is not the post-combat healing. And then he has got Drive Hardy Bearing that is going to be based on the defense check, which is pretty amazing and really useful against Harmonic Ike that we have got now as a huge threat. And having the Drive Hardy Bearing gives him an insane niche, honestly, when we have got a lot of desperation and effects like the Forced Vantage. So in all of that, freeing up the Hardy Bearing Sacred Seal slot of some of your units is going to be quite good for Ether Raid's defense, for example, and also in Summoner duels. So he's a really solid unit, and he may end up being the best unit out of this banner, maybe from a year from now, depending on if we get more units with the Drive Hardy Bearing or not, because having the Hardy Bearing effect is always so impactful in any kind of metagame. And then he also has 25 true damage, which is conditionless, and then 15 flat damage reduction for the regular attacks and 15 flat damage reduction as an extra layer against the offensive specials. And he also has the preempt pulse that is before foe's first attack. And just like Winter Gatekeeper, it is going to be counting the allies in 3 rows and 3 columns, but if he wins the defense check, then it is treated as 3. So he basically has -3 cooldown, preempt pulse before foe's first attack, which also helps him have the flame wall be ready. And he does have self-mastery as his preferred slotty skill, which does have disencounter built in it, and he gives himself the +10 attack speed and defense. It does have the rift effect built in it, which can increase the speed difference for foe to make a follow-up attack by 10, and he has got the full null follow-up and 50% damage reduction piercing. And the rift effect that he has got kind of suggests that he is going to be insanely fast, so it is going to be kind of hard to double him if things go right. And in that case, he can be kind of like Emblem Corin and be a pretty solid, save unit. And he also gives out the Great Talent to the attack speed and defense to himself and the allies in 2 spaces. So it is going to be +3 to the Great Talent at start of every turn. And you also get 9 true damage and 9 flat damage reduction at max with that Great Talent, which is going to be using your defense Great Talent. And the limit for him is going to be +18, whereas for the allies, it is going to be +9. So he's turning out to be a really good Ether Raids unit with all of the things that he has got. And he also has Pair Up as a slot B skill. And that's another reason why I think that he is going to be really fast. And it's a good thing that we have got this skill on a unit like him that is going to be on a Sparkable banner in case you want to give this to a unit. And if you don't want to fodder off Emblem Corin, because this is easily one of the best slot B skills we have got for a lot of the tanks because of the flat damage reduction that it gives you, and it also gives you a bit of extra flat damage reduction against any kind of Erica Ring user or any kind of Brave Effect unit, so it is quite helpful for a lot of the units. And the Rift effect of Pair Up is going to be stacking up with the Rift effect that he has got in his slot A. So as I said before, it is going to be pretty hard for you to double Alfred. And that's why I think that he is going to be a solid save unit and also a really good support unit because of the Drive Hardy Bearing that he has got. And he's likely going to be dumping his resistance stat because he does have speed defense twin physical save. Not a lot of units would want this kind of save skill, but for Alfred, this does make sense because he really needs that speed and defense for winning those checks. And Alfred overall seems like a solid save unit who is going to be very fast, and he seems promising with that Drive Hardy Bearing, as it has been one of the main effects to deal with a lot of the nonsense that we have in the game. And then the final unit from the banner is gonna be Winter Seidr. So she is not a 4-star focus, but if you told me that she was one, I would have believed you. She is not really all that insane. She is also a Green Mage Cavalier, just like her original version, which is gonna be getting a remix and refined soon. So she's got Winter Star, which does have -1 special cooldown, and going forward, I guess we're gonna be seeing this conditionless Omni plus 15 to all of these stats, and then 25 true damage and 15 flat damage reduction on these units. And after she acts, she is gonna be inflicting the closest foes and the foes in 2 spaces of them with -7 attack and resistance debuff, the exposure status, and the panic status. So this is the middle of the turn debuff, which is going to be quite strong, and this weapon also refreshes her action and canto after she has used an assist, as we saw in the trailer. So this makes for an interesting unit, as she's able to just put a lot of these status effects on the enemies in middle of the turn, and she's going to be supporting with her favor skill and also her Slotsy. Offensively, she doesn't really stand out that much. She does have the Momentum 3 built into this weapon, so she's able to AoE nuke with that, but it's not really all that crazy, honestly. She also has attack resistance favor, which does work well with her playstyle of using her assist and also being this kind of supportive unit. It also helps her bring down the cooldown of her AoE special, so that helps if you're not able to go the full 3 spaces to get the 3 cooldown from Momentum. And if they made her a 4-star focus, then they would have surely taken off this slot B skill, which would have been fine with me, honestly. But we do not really have any kind of 4-star focus. And then she does have her preferred skill in her Slotsy with Future Guided, and this does give her Canto Distant Traveled, which is kind of nice as we don't really see that much on these range units. And maximum this is going to be 3, and minimum it is going to be 1. She also has Null Hexblade for some reason, just like Winter Ivy. So I guess that is going to be helping her against the dragon units. It doesn't really make too much sense, but I guess that is the theme of this banner with some of the units. And she also has the 3-row and 3-column drive effect, which can give the allies Omni plus 5, 7 flat damage reduction, and 7 true damage, and also the preempt pulse effect. So as I said, she is mostly going to be a supportive unit, and I guess you're going to be seeing her quite a lot in Aetherite's defense as the reinforcement unit, because a lot of people did use Near Seidr for that, and now I guess they can use Winter Seidr because she can also inflict the gravity status on the closest cardinal foes. She also inflicts the time script status, which we did see on Near Seidr, so it basically has the feud effect in it, and she of course ends the action of the cardinal foes immediately. That's her thing. The skill also gives her Omni plus 5 and true damage, which can help her nuke a bit better with her AoE special, so it is going to be scaling off based on 20% of her resistance. And then she has got another layer of 7 flat damage reduction and also guaranteed follow-up attack. So overall, she is a solid reinforcement unit in Aetherites, and that's basically going to be her niche, because you can use her in Aetherites defense and also in Aetherites offense. In the light season, she can just show up on the 3rd turn, give you the support of her end action and also time script and gravity status, so that all can help you clean up. And you do need to keep firm counter curb in mind, because that can just get rid of the ending action that she can do. So she is not really all that insane, and as I said, you know, she could have been the 4-star focus, honestly, because she is not all that absurd, but still a solid supportive unit with what she does. And this can kind of be the preview of what we see on Seidr's Remix and Refine. And then we have got Zelkov as the Tempest Trial free reward. So he is an infantry dagger. He is not an armor unit, so thank God for that, because range armors have it pretty tough. And because of being an infantry dagger unit, he's going to be having access to more skills that can help him in the player phase, and he's likely going to be quite min-maxed offensively. He does have attack speed finish and speed defense tempo as his passives, and his inedible weapon is also really good that I'm definitely going to be running on my ear. So it has the joint drive, 3 rows and 3 column range, and it gives Omni +5, null follow-up, and pre-impulse. So that's really good for a supportive dagger. And it also has 20 true damage and 10 flat damage reduction. So this is almost as good as Arcane Slide Knife. It's just missing the extra stats and minus some special cooldown, but it does have the flat damage reduction, which is actually more on this weapon. And you also get 20 true damage right off the bat. So it's a really good weapon, honestly, on a free unit. And for any kind of dagger unit that wants to have a supportive weapon, this is going to be the weapon that you should be running. And we also have a couple of new secret seals from this Tempest trial. We have defense, resistance, finish, and also potent, which is kind of insane because now everyone can just have potent. I mean, a lot of the modern units already have potent in their kit, in their preferred skill, or in their weapon in one way or the other. But I guess now it's going to be a lot more easily available, and it's before potent is available on any kind of like seasonal unit with its version 3. And it's kind of an insane sacred seal on the level of distant counter melee sacred seal that we got last year. So it also gives you the damage reduction, a bit of damage reduction against the AoE specials, which is also quite useful. So overall, this is going to be an amazing sacred seal for so many units. And this banner is going to be having the guaranteed spark even if you do not have Fate Pass, so it can be helpful if you're a free-to-play player, but this is still one of the more skippable banners, especially because we're going to be getting an Emblem Hero at the end of the month, so that is going to be worth saving your orbs for. I want to thank all of my YouTube members for their support, and you can click the link on Instagram right now to check out another one of my breakdowns. You can also subscribe and hit the notification bell because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as us having the close counter sacred seal. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.